Of the Great War of the Ring, many songs have been sung and many tales told. The names of heroes like Gandalf the Grey, Aragorn the King, and Frodo the Ring-Bearer are greatly revered, and rightly so. Yet Sauron's grasp stretched much further than the lands of Gondor and Rohan alone, and his forces might have done great evil in the north of Middle-earth, had a handful of heroes not stood in his path. Their stories, too, deserve to be told. Pay heed now to one such tale, which begins here in the town of Bree, just a few short days before Frodo arrived on his quest.
Aragorn.
Eredon, well met. And in company with Andriel of Rivendell and Farin of Erebor. An unlikely trio to find walking through the doors of the Prancing Pony. You were at Sarn Ford last I knew. Do you bear news from Halbarad?
Yes. Grim news.
I feared it would be so. Quickly, tell me what has happened, but keep your voices low. There are unfriendly ears, even here in Bree.
3 days passed. The guard at Sarn Ford was attacked by 9 Black Riders.
Stand fast, Rangers!
We were overwhelmed, and the enemy passed into the Shire.
This is worse than I imagined. I know these riders. It is from Mordor they come. Our folk could not hope to stand against the 9 together. How bad were our losses?
Very bad. We tried to resist them, but they were surrounded by an aura of unnatural dread.
There is more you should know. After the rout, one of the Black Riders met with an ally, a man of great malice and power.
Agandawa. As our master commanded, I have stirred up the orcs of the mountains. Even now, I have a force gathering amid the ruins of Old Fornost. Return at once and prepare your forces. We will have need of them soon. My orcs will be ready. These lands have known peace for too long. They will soon feel the Dark Lord's wrath.
If this Agandawa has a force at Fornost, then our position grows all the more desperate.
But why all this force against the peaceful halflings? It can't be the enemy sees them as a threat.
I will say this much. There is a hobbit of the Shire who should be coming this way with a great burden. If it falls into the hands of the enemy, it will mean doom for us all. Now this hobbit is adrift on the road with enemies all around. I must find him before they do. And I need you to help me keep him safe.
You are my chieftain. I will gladly do whatever you command.
I'm a part of this now as well.
Then we 3 are of one mind. How can we aid you?
We must reduce the threat from the enemies gathered at Fornost. Travel there and do whatever you can to keep the enemy's eye turned towards you and away from the Shire.
Perhaps we will have help in this task. Eladan and Elrohir were in the north when last I heard. Any gathering of the enemy is certain to attract their attention.
Good. You could find no better allies than the sons of Elrond half-elven.
I hope we meet. But with or without help, the enemy will be kept busy. We'll make sure of that. I have a few questions, if I may, Aragorn.
Shh. Here in Bree, there is no Aragorn.
What of this man, Agandawa, who met with the Black Riders? What do you make of him?
Some servant of the Dark Lord. and by his name one to be feared. His presence in the north bodes ill for us all, but I'm glad you discovered it. At least now we are forewarned.
Those things that attacked us at San Ford, those Black Riders, I've never seen anything like them before. What are they?
Do you not know them? There are whispered tales and legends enough that tell of them. They are the Nine, the Ring Wraiths. Of all the servants of the enemy, they are the most feared.
This Agendour, he was no wraith. He seemed like a man, one filled with malice and dark power, but a man nonetheless. But what kind of man would serve the Dark Lord?
Not all the Dark Lord's servants are wraiths and orcs. There have been and still are many men, warriors and kings that walk alive under the sun, and yet are under his sway, willing or unwilling.
What can you tell me of Fornost?
Fornost was once a great city, the capital of the Dunedain kingdom of Arnor. It fell to the Witch King long ago. The men of Gondor and the elves formed an alliance that drove the Witch King out, but Fornost was never rebuilt. The ruins remain a place of dread for many. The men of Bree call it Dead Man's Dyke and fear to go near. It is a perfect place for our enemies to gather in secret.
So, Agendour chose well, it seems. We'll travel to Fornost and see what we can do to upset his plans.
Welcome to Bree. You're a stranger around here. May I ask you a few questions?
What sort of questions?
We hear a lot of talk from travelers these days. Most of them speak of war and of a growing shadow in the east. The townsfolk just dismiss this. Say it's far away and doesn't concern us. But I'm not so sure. You've traveled, maybe seen a few things. What's your opinion? Should we be worried?
There is much to worry about, and the danger is not far off.
I was afraid of that. If only I could convince others. But until then, I will have to take action on my own.
What do you intend to do?
I'd like to arrange for arming the town. We'll need more than pitchforks if we're forced to defend ourselves. I tried to convince a dwarven merchant to bring us weapons, but he refused.
But why would he refuse?
He seems convinced there's no market for weapons in this town, and said it wouldn't be worth his time.
Perhaps I should talk to him.
It's worth a try. His name is Groff. He's selling his wares from a market stall down the street. You might still find him there.
I will let you know what he has to say.
Hello, Master. A ranger by your looks, I'd say. Well, all are welcome here.
long as they mean no harm. Some of the locals may not take to your kind, but don't let that bother you none. Folks around here are suspicious of those they don't know. What can I do for you then?
I may have need of a few things before I leave town. Where should I look?
Well, we have stores and shops here in town, but I suspect most of them wouldn't suit your needs. You might try Adelgar Oldbank's shop. He's got a collection of unusual items which might interest you. It's right across the street from here, on the corner. If it's repairs you need, try Elman Brushwood, our blacksmith. His smithy is just across the street, there on the corner.
What can you tell me of Bree?
Oh, Bree is an old place. Been here for ages and ages. This is the only place in the world you'll find hobbits and men living side by side. We used to see a lot of travellers coming through Bree. Not so much nowadays. I still get customers enough to keep me busy.
Tell me about your inn.
The Prancing Pony's been in my family for generations. I can't rightly say how long, it goes that far back. I'm told there's been an inn on this spot nearly as long as there's been a town.
What news have you heard lately?
Lately, the talk's mostly about trouble away to the south. Seems like there may be war or some other calamity brewing down there. Folks have been coming up the Greenway, or the old road from the south, looking for a place to find some peace.
Are they settling here in the Bree lands?
Well, no. It's not that we aren't sympathetic to their troubles. It's just that Bree belongs to Bree folk. We can't take in a lot of outsiders. And the truth is, I don't like the look of a lot of these newcomers. Some of them have mischief on their minds.
Thank you, and goodbye.
What have we here? A stranger in town. A stranger's just what I'm looking for. Interested in a little harmless pastime? It's time to make some money from it.
What sort of pastime did you have in mind?
Why, nothing more than a simple game of riddles is all. I love a good game of riddles. But everyone in town has already heard all I know. I reckon
I've no time for game. Bree is a pleasant enough place, but the people here mistrust my kind.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Got my head in the clouds, I guess.
Gloomy clouds, I'd say. Is something troubling you?
Oh, no, it's no trouble.
I see. And who is it that you love?
It's Idona Bellflower, my childhood sweetheart. I always thought we were meant for each other, but her father doesn't like my prospects. He's arranging a match with the blacksmith, Elman Brushwood.
And she agrees with this match?
That's just it. I'm not sure. I always told her how much I loved her when we were children. It was all a game back then. Then we got older and it got so much harder to say.
You should tell her how you feel, before it's too late.
I want to tell her. I do. Look, this locket belonged to my mother. I want to give it to Idona as a token of my love. But the chain is broken, and Elman the blacksmith is the only one in town who can fix it. If I take it to him, he's sure to suspect something and turn me away.
Why not let me take it to him?
Yes, that might work. Elman would never suspect a stranger like you. There's one more thing. Idona's father keeps a careful eye on his daughter and won't give me a moment alone with her.
I will take her the locket and your words.
Wonderful! Just perfect! Take the locket to Elman at the smithy across the street. Once it's repaired, bring it to Idona and tell her I love her, and that I'll do everything in my power to make her happy every day we are together.
Very well. I'll tell her.
And just one more thing. After you talk to her, could you come back and tell me what she said? One way or another, I have to know.
Never fear. I will bring you her answer.
Welcome. It's always good to see a ranger in my shop. Looking to buy or sell?
We are not in the Shire, yet you are a hobbit.
Why, of course I am. Bree is the oldest settlement of hobbits in the world, you know. And this is the only place you find hobbits and big folk living together. An arrangement that suits us both just fine.
Have you heard any news lately?
Plenty, but none of it good. Seems there's trouble away south. People are on the roads looking for new places to live. Folks around here are sympathetic, but none too eager to take in a host of strangers.
I am afraid it will get worse. There are dark times ahead, for everyone.
Save me. But you make it sound bad. Personally, I prefer to keep my thoughts as cheerful as I may. Bree has always been a peaceful place, and I hope it will remain so.
This is an unusual shop for Bree.
That's what my neighbors are always telling me. I'm sure half the town thinks I'm completely cracked, but I've always loved old tales of adventure and daring deeds, so it's only natural I would open a shop selling weapons and armor and whatnot.
And this is profitable?
Oh, heavens no. But you see, my old dad was quite well off, and he left me a tidy sum. This is really more of a hobby than a business. But it could prove useful to someone like you. Take a look around.
Hello there. Ranger, are you? Let me guess. You've sprung some rivet or busted a blade out there roaming about the wild, and you need old Elmin to make it right again.
You recognize me as a ranger, do you? Then you must know some of my folk.
Know 'em? No, not really. You're kinda usually tight-lipped, like to keep your secrets and all. But I have dealt with a fellow named Ador now and again. Tradesmen work for tools and iron on occasion. He knows his way around an hammer and anvil, he does.
I have a locket with a broken chain. Do you think you can repair it?
Let's see it. Looks like something might have been made in these parts. Maybe back in me old dad's day. Wouldn't expect one of your kind to have something like this. Where'd you come by?
Where I came by it is my business. Repairing it is yours.
No need to go all cross. I was just wondering is all. Anyway, it's a simple enough job. There you are. Good as new.
I thank you. Farewell, Smith.